Are you ready to think big and act bold? Then you are in the right place. This is Innovative Entrepreneurs, a podcast that will bring you the stories, insights, and tips from some of the most successful and innovative entrepreneurs in the world. I am your host, Erica Bailey, and I am here to help you start, scale, and sustain your own entrepreneurial journey. Let's get started. Our guest today is Brandon Gustafson. He's an expert in assisted living investing. This one's interesting to me. I haven't heard about this type of investment before, so I'm excited to talk with him. He is the founder of assistedlivinginvesting.net. It is a website that helps people establish their own assisted living facilities. With a master's in healthcare administration and a decade in the industry, Brandon brings valuable insights. Since 2020, he has owned and operated 2 remote assisted living facilities, securing over $1.5 million in the SBA funding. Apart from his professional success, Brandon is a devoted family man and a passionate sports enthusiast. Let's dive into Brandon's story and learn from his journey. Welcome, Brandon. And again, thank you for joining me.
Thanks.
We talked a little bit offline, but what were you doing before you started assisted living?
Yeah, so I've been working in healthcare now for a long time. I graduated with a master's in healthcare administration from the University of Utah in 2015, MBA as well. And before that, I worked in sports. How I got though into healthcare, I actually did my undergrad in sports management. Wanted to work in sports. Worked in it for a few years. Worked for an arena football team, an Olympic federation, and I found it was ruining sports for me. I couldn't enjoy sports when I was working in it. So healthcare was my other passion. Started going down that path. Working in medical billing, was like, I could do this. Got in, did my master's in healthcare administration. And then from there, just started working in healthcare. I worked in regulatory affairs, and then mostly in business analytics for healthcare organizations. Large payers, United Health, Optum, the Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is actually, I have a full-time job. That's what I do for them. Is like analytics and contract configuration and consulting and that type of work. So I've been in healthcare now for over a decade, just working in that area. And in 2020, like the rest of the world, got bored. And so I decided to get into assisted living. The path to getting there, though, was an interest in real estate. So it was June 9th of 2019. I remember the day. It was a Sunday and my daughter was sick. So I had to stay home from church with her and read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And read the entire book in one day and was like, I've got to figure this out. I went to a Rich Dad Poor Dad event and left a little early because I knew they were going to just push on me a little bit, but still knew that that's what I wanted to do. Had this plan to do some fix and flips to get enough money to get into assisted living. And a mentor told me, you should just do assisted living. So I did, figured it out, went under contract, the first one in May of 2020. Purchased the first one in September of 2020 and a second one in February of 2021. So, yeah.
Why assisted living? If you can, like in summary.
That's a great question. So what I would say for why assisted living is really, it's at the crux of why I got into healthcare. I love helping people and I always wanted to do that. As I was going to grad school, something that really drove me was like improving patient condition and just making it a better experience for everybody. And as I started looking at real estate, found the asset class of assisted living and just kind of was able to blend those, I was like, this makes a lot of sense to help me kind of reach my investment goals and help me make the difference that I'm passionate about and helping people create a good experience for those that would be, using assisted living resources and just working through that. So that's kind of how I got to that point. So I have 2 facilities. I live in Utah in Salt Lake, and one of my facilities is in Colorado Springs, and one is in Nampa, Idaho, which is a suburb of the Boise area.
We all have the decision to either work for somebody or, build our own thing. For me, my why was being there for every one of my kids' football games or being able to take them to the doctor if they're sick and just being able to be there and read with them whenever the heck I feel like it, right? As long as the work gets done, the work gets done. So my why was family, right? My why was creating opportunity and flexibility and freedom. For you, making the decision to go from, healthcare industry employee to owner of 2 facilities? Like, what was your why?
The big why for me, again, was having more hands-on ability to impact people's lives. A big part of that as well is giving so I have 2 daughters, and giving them the 2 things. One is an example of how to run a business and how to do those things, and just kind of enabling them and helping them learn and grow and see how they can do that. But also giving them that exposure to people and talking with people. I think end of life conversations are difficult, and helping my daughters feel that and get to see what that's like and how to interact with those people was also a really big driving force for me. We go and do site visits. I get to take them with me. We go do sightseeing, and go do a bunch of stuff as a family, which is incredible. It's part of the reason I wanted to invest out of state. But also being able to bring them in and get them some exposure to what that looks like and how business operates and how to have conversations with people and develop relationships with other people. I don't know if it was something I thought of at the beginning, but it's been an unforeseen benefit of kind of running these businesses.
Wow. So you really are making it a family thing, but you're teaching your kids empathy and understanding and curiosity and kindness by, getting them involved and, having them kind of shadow and senses and create these relationships on their own. So, I give you a thumbs up for that. Absolutely. I think that's important. The end of life community, it's tough. I mean, if you've been there, and it's tough. And you have to have the right people around you to get you through those moments, right? So, it's important that we have facilities like this. But what you're doing is not just growing yourself, you're teaching others how to offer this same service and how to make money in assisted living, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So talk me through this. I'm looking at your website now. It's coaching that helps you start your own assisted living facility. And there's a calculator. So talk to me about this.
Yeah. So when I was starting, I did not know how to do this. And there are some courses out there and things like that, but I'm a little stubborn, I guess. And I figured I'm going to figure it out myself. I'm going to watch free YouTube videos. And what I had learned, I actually got a little bit jaded when I did my first kind of real estate thing. It was expensive. I learned a ton. But what I found is there were free resources that gave me the exact same information. What they gave me was this kind of structured thing, and that's great. And for a lot of people, it helps. For me, I was like, I just figured it out by myself. So I did. As I was going through it, I kind of documented my entire process and how to talk with municipalities and who to talk to at a municipality, how to talk to the fire marshal, how to talk to the state health department, what types of licenses there are, because there's actually a few of them that exist. And just kind of learning that entire process, and I documented it all for me, selfishly,
of course,
to do it again. And then after we purchased the first one, I was like, I could teach people this. And I love teaching. I actually taught at the University of Utah, and coaching and mentoring and teaching is something that I love. So loved the process of teaching. But as an adjunct professor, you don't make any money. So I was like, I can't spend this much time doing this. And I had documented this entire process. I'm going to create a YouTube channel and coach people through it. And it's evolved over time to the point now I have my website where I coach people, working on developing courses. I'll be launching my full process here in January of 24. So I'll be launching that course in January of 2024. Excited to do that, but kind of walks people through the process there of just everything, start to finish, how to get the funding and how that works, who to talk to, how to work with the lender, the licensing, how to operate a facility, the staffing, everything that goes into it. Because I think a lot of people, they look at this, they think, oh, this is cool. They don't realize it's a business as well. Mm-hmm. And you've got to actually do it. You can have it become passive, but it is not necessarily a passive investment. And it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of hard work to get in, figure out the process and do it. And so I'm very blunt about that, but it's also doable, and you can do it and have just an incredible amount of impact on people's lives and helping you out as well.
Wow. Your YouTube channel is there's a lot of information here. It's just at Assisted Living Investing. And the link will be in the show notes. But wow, you are giving some great information here. Okay, so how did you find your first deal?
I started off looking for that first deal on LoopNet, BizBuySell. So these are kind of marketplaces where you can buy businesses, essentially. And they have ways you can filter, get down to a specific niche, and you can do that with assisted living. So I started doing that, found some local to me here in the Salt Lake Valley. And I actually went to a chiropractor. I was early. I was like, I've got a few minutes. I'm going to call this broker. I have no idea how I'm going to have a conversation. So I just called him and said, hey, I'm interested in this facility. What does that look like? He's like, oh, let me send you an NDA. And I was like, what is an NDA? I'm like, Google this acronym. I don't even know. So I quickly emailed my attorney that I work with to set up my entities. I'm like, hey, he said an NDA. Can I sign it? Like, am I signing my life away, basically? And he's like, oh yeah, this is super common. Just, you're fine. So I signed the NDA, get the finances, start looking through. I have no idea what I'm trying to look at here. And I just kind of started going through the process of figuring it out. And then from there, I built my calculator, which is on the website, and you can download that for free. But just kind of built that out and just started analyzing deals. That's a lot of what I did for work. So I was very familiar with the process.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the first one that I found on LoopNet, the numbers didn't work. So I just kind of went back to the drawing board, started trying to figure things out. Through that real estate group that I had joined, actually, I had a mentor there, and he was aware of a guy in Colorado that was purchasing an assisted living facility. He's like, I'll connect you guys. You can kind of have a conversation and see where it goes. So reached out to this guy and found out that he was buying one facility from an owner that had two facilities. So he's like, I'll introduce you to the broker. And we started having that conversation, and we decided to move forward with that one. The numbers were a lot better than what we were finding in Utah. And just kind of started the process of going through it. So really it was just networking. And then the second one, I got into working with that broker, but I got a lot more specific with my criteria and found something that fit a lot better financially, fit a market better. I learned a ton through that process. So it was a lot smoother the second time around, and I learned a lot. And that's a lot of what I teach people as well, is like how to start this from the beginning and know what you're trying to get into, so you don't waste the time of cold calling people and not knowing what an NDA is. So
absolutely. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast. It's exactly that. So these are facilities that are built, that are active, that have residents, but not something you're building yourself, right?
Yeah, we bought existing businesses. They already had residents in there. We were able to kind of move forward with that. But there's a lot of people that will do what we would call a conversion. So it's basically a flip of a house, or they'll do it arbitrage style where they will lease from somebody and that landlord to do a conversion on the house, so they can then put residents in there. So you can do this from the ground up, or you can buy. There's pros and cons both ways. What I've found is, first one, buying something existing is nice. Plus you get grandfathered into any old rules. Like our first house was in the 1990s and has aluminum wiring and old stuff, but because it's been a facility since like the 50s, it gets grandfathered into a bunch of stuff. So we don't have to go in and make a ton of renovations on the house, which is also really nice.
All right, well, that makes sense. So I talk a lot about mindset on this channel. I truly believe that, we have the ability to build our life by design. Right? That's what my mentor says. So what are the skills and mindsets for being an entrepreneur, especially in this niche?
I love mindset stuff as well. And I think there's a couple components there for it. One is like the mindset of being an entrepreneur and doing things. So I love like Benjamin Hardy, the stuff that he teaches around concepts like who, not how, and his new book, Next is Easier Than 2X. Like I love those things. I read Think and Grow Rich once a year. Like all of these things, I love it. And from an entrepreneur standpoint, it's like, okay, how am I going to build this vision of building out just this incredible experience for people as they get to end of life? And how am I going to do that and teach people and coach people and all those things? The other piece of that, like as you mentioned, is the mindset of working with people at end of life and what that's like, and helping create a kind of a good experience for them as they get to that phase in life, and for their families, because it's something that it's very taboo. It's hard for people to talk about, and people dread it. And
yeah, absolutely. I'm going through the exact thing right now.
It's hard, and I think a lot of that is treating them like normal people and just having conversations with them. And you don't have to dance around it. They realize they're old and close to dying. For me, it's not a somber thing. It's something that is, let's have conversations about, let's be real. Let's talk about it. And I think part of that comes from, I used to teach end of life stuff in a previous job, and worked through processes where we would coach physicians and people like that how to have end of life conversations with families. And I learned a lot through that process in how to go in and just have a conversation and treat them like real people, and be sensitive to what's happening, but also be direct and don't dance around issues, and just be upfront and treat them like a real person.
Well, yeah, that fact that we have to say treat them like a real person, it just surprises me anymore, but it's exactly what you're saying. There is an empathetic role in the person who has to take that job, you know what I mean, or chooses to take that job. I struggled with the whole fear of it, and in my own experience, just felt like I was going to break down, because that's where this was going for a special person that I love very much. And somebody told me that it's either a breakdown or a breakthrough, right? And what I learned is, in those rooms, you talk about the great memories, and you're grateful for the time. You're grateful for the fact that you were their family member for this long. And if you can find gratitude, I think, in those moments, it's going to be so much easier for the family members. Do you agree with that?
100% agree with that. It doesn't make it easier when somebody is at that stage of life and they're passing, or actually one of our facility in Colorado deals with mental health, and it doesn't make it easier for people that are struggling with those types of issues, schizophrenia and bipolar, for their families. All of these things, it doesn't make it easier to do it. But I think it's similar to mental health, and being able to confront those things and talk about it openly and have conversations, it helps you process it. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to deal with those issues or struggle with those situations. It does make it a little bit easier to confront and process, and then move on and move past things. Whereas if you just let it sit there and fester in your mind and in your heart, and 3 years later something else comes and triggers it, it can be a bad experience for you, for family, and then things like that. You just want to have conversations and be open to talking about those types of situations.
Absolutely. You did this on your own with some mentorship, but and you secured all of this funding. Like, how does one go about even looking into that? You know what I mean? Like, you secured quite a bit of funding up front from the SBA. Is that right?
Yeah. So the first thing that happened there was a good relationship with my broker, who had done a lot of the networking for me and was able to introduce me to people. And through that process, like, the first one was, I don't know anything about this. I don't know how to talk to a lender. And so I'm leaning on him quite a bit and helping me build relationships and how to talk to people. But from there, it got a lot easier, and I was able to figure it out. What I have found out, like, one of the best tips I can tell people is, you're going to get told no 1,000 times. There are going to be lenders that tell you, no, there's no way we could do it. Like, we're trying to get our funding in the middle of COVID, and nobody wants to give money. And they're just like, we don't know what's happening. We don't want to give money away. And so I talked to, I don't know, probably 20 lenders before I finally found one or two that were like, yeah, let's talk about this. So what I found from that is, you have to have thick skin. You have to be okay with being told, no, this can't happen, and not let it squash your dream, because you're going to be able to find somebody that will work with you. So that's the first thing that I would say. The second one is just communicating with them, building out, so creating a solid business plan, and then creating solid underwriting, which is why I do my calculator on my website. But having those things and being able to articulate that plan clearly, and then being super responsive when they're asking you for whatever it is, makes them think, oh, I really want to work with this person. So I've actually closed 3 SBA loans, 2 of them for assisted living facilities, and a third one for a business that failed. We could get into that another time, but that was not assisted living. But anyways, what I found is I can figure out that process, and I've had lenders come to me and say, I went to bat with you with underwriting. I really want to work with you, but they said no, and I'm really, really sorry. And for lenders to come to me and tell me that they're sorry that they can't work with me tells me that I'm doing something right in my planning phase, my underwriting, everything.
Yeah. Okay. So you did have a lot of people who had your back, it sounds like, who really helped you get to where you need to be, which, if you have the right tribe, if you have the right people in your group, in your family, whatever you want to call it, it really can take you exactly where you want to be. You have a vision, you have the right people, you could just move forward. It's just how mindset works, right? So it sounds like you really did have the right tribe. That's pretty cool. So it's assistedlivinginvesting.net. And it says right here, get your free calculator. So talk to me about this.
Yeah, so I've got free resources there on the website. I actually have created a thing specially for your listeners. So assistedlivinginvesting.net/innovator. And you can go there, and I've got a course or just like a little mini webinar that teaches you a little bit about the senior living industry. So if you're interested in that, plus a few other resources, some of my top YouTube videos that kind of coach you through the process. So if you're like, I don't know, I've kind of created a spot where you can go quickly and do that. And what I love doing is going in and coaching people and helping them through the process. Earlier today, actually, I was on a kind of discovery call for somebody that is interested in working with me through coaching. And I kind of do it a few different ways. One is 1 year, let's get you the facility. Another is like a 12-week, let's work together and find your biggest blocks, and let's remove them and get them done. And then I do some like in-depth, 3-4 hour coaching where I just, let's dive into this. Apart from that, though, I'm putting together the courses to help people that might not know for sure if this is the route they want to go, but they are interested in doing it, and they're willing to kind of put up a little bit of a financial commitment to do that because you've got somebody that's coaching you and helping you through the process, and getting access to me and the way that I coach people. But I love adding value. I do this too much where I just I want to dive in and fix all the things and help you out through the process. It's really something that I really enjoy and want to get into a lot more. I want to grow my facility, my portfolio, but more than that, I want to help people do this because there's a wave in the industry. They call it the silver tsunami. As baby boomers are starting to age, there's just a huge demand for houses and places where this population can receive that type of care. Okay. And putting it into this setting where they can do it in more of a residential house where it feels like home and it doesn't feel like a hospital or a clinic or those types of things. It's something that is fun and exciting. So that's what we coach people through in that process.
I love the fact that you are passionate about helping people and making this end-of-life experience easier on the people, the individuals, the families. And so this coaching program is really helping others go from start to finish with the same type of, kindness and empathy that you put into yours. Like that's the goal, right? to get the right people there to provide this service. Okay, so what advice can you give others who aspire to be entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think the best advice I can give to other people that want to be business owners, entrepreneurs is just realize it takes a lot of work. Like when you're doing that, you think of the person that's just on the beach and doing things, and yeah, there's a component of that. Like I get to go and visit my facilities, and we go and in Colorado there's the Great Wolf Lodge, so we get to go to that and go have fun with my girls and go swimming and do all of those fun things, which is great. But also I've got to go there and I have to do work, and I've got to go talk to my residents and redo lease agreements and resident agreements and do maintenance on the house and those types of things. And so there's a component of being an entrepreneur and business owner that you have to work, and it takes a lot of work, and it can be lonely to do that. I think you probably would agree with that. You have great people in your tribe. Like I have virtual assistants that help me out with a ton of stuff, which is incredible, but also they're in the Philippines and I'm here in Utah, and I just kind of do my own stuff for hours at a time at night and just kind of work through stuff. And, you have to be committed and really heads down and get through things and make it work. If you're going to make progress and have success.
Yeah. Committed and patient. Sometimes things take a while in order to, achieve that, that vision. But if it's clear, you have that clear vision and you are set and you are ready to work, man, what's going to stop you? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So who is the most innovative entrepreneur that influences you most and why?
Yeah, I love this question. And I was listening to a few of your podcasts and you touched on this in one of your just kind of one-off where you're not talking to people. You talked about kind of like innovation, disruptive innovation. And Clayton Christensen, I don't know that I would call him an entrepreneur. He taught at Harvard, but I love the concept of disruptive innovation. And it's something that, like, as I've gotten into healthcare, a lot more has really helped me and drive me. So I think that's one guiding thing. The other one that I would say that, like, as a person that does this for me is, his name is Graham Cochran. He teaches online courses and teaches how to build that out. And something that really resonates with me that he teaches is adding a ton of value. And for me, as a person that loves to give people and help people and coach people, it resonates with me that I can give you a ton of free stuff, and that's totally fine. Because if you find that valuable, you're going to want to work with me anyways. And I don't have to sell you on it because I'm just giving you all this stuff for free. And he taught me that, and I love it. So, yeah.
Well, it's kindness, really. It really starts with kindness. I mean, I'm a big Gary Vee fan, huge. And really everything, it just starts with kindness, and it'll take you, wherever you want to go. But I think most of these innovators who are shaking things up, really, it sounds like they started and they base their business off kindness to clients, kindness to the employees, and kindness to yourself. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that with me. And thank you for listening to my podcasts. Woohoo, I have one listener.
Some of the people you talk to are just awesome. So kudos to you getting on some awesome guests. I feel like I'm very low on that totem pole, so you're doing great.
Oh, no. You are special. You're unique. You are you, and you're shaking things up. And I think that's important. Most of all, you're helping people. Like, there is no top or bottom. Like, we are all doing the very best we can in order to, to build our life by design. I mean, that's just as easy as I can say it. So we're going to drop all your links, but seriously, your YouTube channel is amazing. So if anybody's interested, either go to his website.
Yeah. So assistedlivinginvesting.net. And I've got a special link for the listeners. Make sure you have assistedlivinginvesting.net/innovator. And you can get access to some extra free resources and bonuses and stuff like that.
Fantastic. I will make sure that link is in there. And this is cool. I mean, you are a pretty awesome fella. And I'm glad I got to talk to you. Man, you're doing some cool stuff. So keep it up. Keep up the kindness. Let's talk again. Wow. What a great episode. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you want more of this goodness, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications for future podcasts. And if you found value from this, please share it with others. You can visit our website at cwgdigital.com. This is Erica Bailey. I am your host, and I will see you next time.